Welcome to another episode of More Than Books, stories from the Kanawha County Public Library. I'm your host, Stan Howe. On this program, we take a look beyond the shelves to highlight news, activities, events, and the resources available for KCPL patrons. For years, the Sissonville area of Kanawha County was without a library. If residents wanted to visit a public library, they had to make their way to downtown Charleston. KCPL leaders in the mid-70s realized that something needed to change, so planning began for a new library in Sissonville. In 1979, KCPL opened a small instant library near Sissonville High School. The new branch was an immediate hit, and before long, a bigger building was needed. So in April of 2001, the new Sissonville Library opened its doors. Today, that library is a center of community activity with dozens of local programs and events held every year. The person responsible for making the branch an active part of the Sissonville community is branch manager Kathy Mason. Our traveling correspondent, Jai Ravine, recently sat down and talked to Kathy about the Sissonville branch.
Thanks so much, Kathy, for spending time with us today. It's great to see you, and you have Pablo, the library lizard, on your shoulder here.
I do.
Tell us the story about Pablo.
We at the Sissonville branch got permission to get a animal for the library.
Nice.
And so then I started doing all this research because I love researching animals.
Right.
And kind of made a list of which ones would be a good fit for us. I'm allergic to rodents,
Right.
so it wasn't going that route.
Right.
And I was kind of, I had fish at the main library, so I was kind of done with fish. So I made a list of good reptiles for our diurnal day dwellers.
Right.
And we went from there. I ended up getting him from somebody off Facebook. Traveled 2 hours to get him, but that was almost 2 years ago now.
Oh, right. Yeah. And so Pablo hangs out in the tank over there in the
Children's area.
Yeah, in the children's area. And so, yeah, what's life for Pablo like on a daily basis? Just enjoying himself, sunning.
So I was mentioning before, something in my research said that they're like sticks.
Oh,
They like to stay in one spot, so he's not the most exciting
Right.
reptile, but the kids have a fun time spotting him.
Right.
He gets bugs every couple of days. We spray his tank a few times a day because they only drink off of surfaces, not from puddles. So,
Right.
that's life for Pablo.
Yeah.
He likes to climb. So.
Yay. Does he like meeting kids? Do any of the patrons get to hold him, or is he kind of just in the tank?
One of the rules of having him was that people cannot hold him.
Right.
Insurance purposes.
Right. Gotcha. Yeah. All right. Yay.
Yeah.
And Pablo is what type of reptile?
He is a bearded anole, which is also called Cuban false chameleons.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So that's what we have on our sign over there. It's meet Pablo, and everybody's like, oh, hi, Pablo. Looking for him in the tank. So
yeah. Awesome.
He's good at camouflaging.
Yeah. And he's kind of your little mascot.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I talked with you about a year ago in More Than Books, and so I just wanted to check in with you and see how things are going, how things have been going in the past year. Some of the highlights. I know you all have a community garden space now, and I also heard maybe you have a 3D printer in the works. So tell us a little bit more about those things.
So the community garden, I don't know how long we've had it.
Yeah.
But Danielle has been working with the West Virginia Extension each year to plan a garden, and the kids get to go out and take care of the garden. They would have monthly checks of the garden and taking care of it and harvesting, and it's just for the community to get what they need.
Yeah.
It's mostly overgrown at this point now because overgrown in the sense of weeds. We got to the point where animals were eating everything. So.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
But, and then the 3D printer, we got one after the book sale last year, but we haven't quite gotten to the point where it's available to the public, because we're learning it.
Yeah.
So we have to figure out how we're going to handle it with the public before we get there.
Right.
But Kayla and Doug have a really good understanding of the
nice.
3D printer. I am a novice.
Right. Yeah.
Where are you going?
Cool. Anything else that stands out to you in the past year that has changed or been new here at Sissonville?
I think we were talking about the craft kits before.
Oh,
it's not new,
right?
But it's just a really fun part of the library experience. Our patrons look for them every time they come in, and actually they're all gone right now.
Oh no!
But Danielle and Doug have been preparing ones for the kids,
right? And
then Stephanie and Kayla prepared the ones for the adults.
Yeah.
I very rarely have any any handling of that. I try, but I'm not the best at working with what I've got. So.
Right. Yeah. And so us in marketing have been lucky to receive your craft kits, and so we have recycled book ghosts from last year. We've got sock gnomes, and we also have some Mothman in Braxton County figure, or what was it?
They were like disc ornaments.
Like disc ornaments, yeah. And then when I went to St. Albans and told them about the crafts that you all had sent us, St. Albans staff got jealous. And they were like, oh, we're trying to compete now. So, yeah. What do you think makes the craft kits so popular with your patrons?
I think it's because people want to be able to try different things, but don't always have the funds for it.
Right.
So our craft kits have about everything except for maybe like glue or other small scissors,
Right.
Other small things. And actually, I end up taking some to the veterinary emergency hospital that I do some part-time work at.
Yeah.
They love them there too.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and it's got like everything you need, little bits of paint, so you don't have to get like the whole thing of paint,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
That's cool. All right. So let's move on to a little bit about what one of my favorite things about Sissonville is your all's displays and decorations for the seasons, right?
Yep.
I love seeing photos of them when you send them all to me, and I know that it just really makes the space feel like home to me, and I love that. And I know that your staff work really hard on them
They
too.
They do.
So let's talk about the importance of like nurturing that like staff creativity, as well as like the importance of displays too, because displays like catch your eye, and like that kind of thing. So tell me more about your thoughts on that.
So Kayla usually does Kayla and Stephanie do a lot of the bigger displays, the ones on the walls and the windows, around the desk, and Danielle does the one over in the children's area with Stephanie's help.
Right.
But then we all take part of the ones with the books and the materials on them, and I think that's just a really good way to showcase what we have.
Yeah.
Things that might get hidden. I just did one for scary movies. People might not know we have Carrie or the newest Scream movie. But also Danielle just did one for the Banned Books Week. There's so many banned books.
Right.
Or Freedom to Read Week here.
Yeah.
There's so many books that are contested that people don't know why.
Right.
So, I kind of think it's fun to figure out why and then tell people, because then they're kind of like, what, seriously?
Yeah. Right.
I don't know. I don't have much to do with it. They brainstorm and go from there, and I just cheerlead.
Yeah. No, that's great.
Basically.
That's great. Yeah. Awesome.
Tell them how awesome it is. Take pictures for you guys. And, get supplies when it's necessary.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Yay. And it makes it feel really wonderful to be at your library. So.
Yep.
Congratulations to
Oh,
Sissonville.
thank you.
Yeah. So, okay, we're going to take a short break now. We might be saying bye to Pablo here.
Yep.
So
He's not that used to being
say
out.
goodbye to Pablo. It's nice to have you here today, Pablo. And we'll be back right after this.
I was 0.5 credits away from completing high school, and I didn't do it. My support team never stopped pushing for me to be better because they knew who I could become as a person. I've been given an opportunity, and I'm just thankful for it.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
All right. Well, I'm Jai, and we're here with Kathy Mason, Sissonville branch manager, talking about all things Sissonville. I wanted to ask you about community partnerships and connections. I know that last year you talked about going to the Greater Sissonville Development Council meetings, and you were talking about different groups that were using y'all's meeting spaces and whatnot. Can you tell me how you've built on those partnerships over the past year, or any new ones that have arisen, and anything else about those kind of things?
Well, I have continued trying to attend the Greater Sissonville Development Council GSDC meetings. They are a big, I guess, investor in us, I would say.
Yeah.
Where we have the annual fund, they
Right.
donate a fair portion of
Right.
it. And then the Lions Club works with us too.
Okay.
I also attend Christmas committee meetings. We actually have a group that gets together and plans things that happen around Christmas
Right.
time. They plan the parade and a children's event with like bounce houses and
Nice.
stuff. But then we also will talk about the library
Right.
event,
Right.
the holiday open house then
Right.
too. I'm still trying to work on more. I'd like to get in contact with the nursing home
Oh, yeah.
or the senior center down the
Right,
road,
right.
and Danielle and I would really like to go visit them
Yeah.
and try and sign people up for library cards
Yeah.
and do programs with them.
Right.
We also work a lot with like the Girl Scouts, and the local women's club comes and meets here once a month, and they do a lot to help us out too. They come and support our events.
Nice. Yeah. All right. Let's talk a little bit more about, well, yeah, because last year when we last talked, you were saying that people were still a bit hesitant to come back to the library for in-person events, understandably. But how has that momentum been building over the past year with your programs? Because you've got programs for kids and families, you've got programs for adults and programs for teens and tweens too. So have you seen like more people interested in coming to events?
We have, especially during the summer, we saw it started off a little slow, and then we saw a large increase
Nice.
in attendance. And then it dwindled again as school started, but just around the time of the fall really started, October-ish.
Right.
We saw a pretty good increase in
Nice.
our programs, like the Halloween wreath that I taught,
Right.
and the spooky houses that Danielle taught.
Right.
So, and we've also just seen more families coming in and hanging out, being together,
Yeah.
which I love, and I love that they're commenting on the displays,
Right.
the materials, the crafts available.
Right.
So,
Yeah, that's great. So yeah, tell me a little bit more about some of the programs that you run too, because seems like most of your staff run their own programming too. So I think you've done like some crocheting classes before and things like that too. Yeah.
so I run a couple of bingo games a
Nice.
month. We have a really fun group. They're hilarious.
Nice.
And I also do a couple of book clubs, a teen book club, an adult book club. And then once a month I do an adult craft night. So it's
Right.
crocheting. I've
Yeah.
done a cross stitch one. I've done wreaths and a snowman carved out of a book. Yep.
Cool.
And sock gnomes. I try to sometimes work in just another program, like something for anybody. In October, it's decorating foam pumpkins,
Right.
like
Nice.
these ones.
Yay. Awesome. Tell me about programs coming up in November and into the holidays that you have in the works.
So I don't know if you've talked to Amanda Gibson at the main library. She is working on getting National Novel Writing Month,
that's
NaNoWriMo, up and running. So I am planning 5 write-ins.
Oh, wow, cool.
In November.
Yeah.
Danielle is planning a turkey painting night.
Nice.
And also a Dye-November program.
Oh, that's right, Dye-November. Yeah.
It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then going into winter, we're planning the holiday open house.
Right.
And more, winter-related activities.
Right.
We've not planned that far ahead.
Right.
I'm barely keeping up with your marketing schedule.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's hard to look ahead, but yeah, it seems exciting. Yeah. All right.
I love planning the program. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. And looks like your patrons really love coming to them. So, way to go.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to take another break here. Don't go away. We'll have more right after this.
I'm Ferdinand. You look at me and think big. You think scary. But I'm a little misunderstood. Sorry I almost killed you. Kids with learning and attention issues are misunderstood too. Take the time to understand. Learn more at understood.org.
Welcome back to More Than Books. I'm here with Kathy Mason, Sissonville branch manager. We're in the lovely Sissonville branch, having a spooky and scary time. I love it here. I wanted to talk a little bit more with you about some things that you mentioned last year in our interview. Last year you talked about how your staff have taught you to be more sure of yourself and your decisions. And I really loved that. And I just wanted to know how your sense of confidence has grown over the past year and whatnot.
Well, this could sound like such a boring answer. For one thing, knowing policy helps. I would have meetings with Sarah, and with each meeting we'd go over policy a little bit. But also, like I said last year, it's the staff. I can still go and talk to them when I'm not sure about something, and figure out a way to do something that I hadn't thought of. So it's definitely a team effort getting to decisions. But also just coming up with new ideas and working from there. I think that they have given me the confidence to be a branch manager, to make the hard choices if it needs to be done. So but they're a great staff to work with.
That made me think of another question, which is sort of like resources for being a manager. Like, I feel like we always hear about, oh, so-and-so is a terrible manager. We know what a bad manager looks like, right? But I feel like we don't often know what a good manager looks like. So are there other things that have helped you other than your staff, like that in terms of the manager role itself?
I had a lot of help at the beginning. April April was the assistant director when I first started here, and she would meet with me every week, every 2 weeks. Ben Ball, who is now the programming manager, he was here just about every day at times, just walking me through different things. And they taught me a lot. But also one of my goals for after I got to be a manager was and got through, you know, the first 90 days was to learn more, do different things.
Yeah.
You know, just experiment, but also I watched webinars, I read articles, I researched like a librarian.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And that helped. Another thing that helps is there's like a community page on Facebook for library managers,
Oh, nice.
and just like there's one for programming librarians.
Yeah.
And so if you have questions, you can go there or just read what other people are posting.
Right.
So.
Yeah. That's a good resource too.
Yep.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Next question. I've also heard you talk about the importance of supporting your staff so that they can support the public, you know, as a manager. I'm just wondering what that actually looks like. Like, how do you put that into practice or whatnot? Like, you know, other than, you know, it as sort of an idea, I guess.
I get you.
Yeah.
For me, it looks like caring. I know what's going on in their lives. I talk to them.
Right.
I ask about how something's coming along.
Yeah.
I also bring food.
That helps.
Because, you know, I can't do some things, but I can feed you.
Right.
So,
Yeah. And that's really important too. Yeah.
And I guess I'm a provider. I like to provide, so I try to make things a little bit easier, and keep them informed of what I've discussed with others.
Right.
I think it's treating them like peers.
Right. Yeah. For sure. Yeah. And your care, I feel like your care is like reverberating through the staff and into the patrons. So it's like a really beautiful thing.
Oh, thank you. I hope so.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Going a little bit further with that. I was actually talking to Danielle a bit about, she was telling me about sort of long time regular patrons that have like been coming to Sissonville Library for a really long time, and sort of the relationships that you all get to develop with them. And so I'm just wondering, like, why do you think, you know, your patrons keep coming back, and like how is it like to develop like relationships with patrons over long periods of time like that?
When I first started in libraries, I worked in a very rural
Right.
area. I knew all the regulars.
Right.
I was able to keep track of what different people had read, so I can make more suggestions to them.
Nice.
And when I came here, it was a lot of the same feel. So I think they returned for the books, but also the human back and forth, the talking, the care.
Right.
And also the programs. We have a lot that attend the programs. They'll just come for the programs.
Yeah.
But we also have members of the public that will come just to talk.
Yeah.
We have members of the public that will come, and we have their holds pulled off the shelf before they're even through the door all the way.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and that's not me. I'm not good with names. I'm not good with face. I'm not good with any of that. But the rest of them are, and Daniel will be like, "It's so and so." I'll be like, "Okay, I got this."
Right. Yeah.
So.
I guess final question. I know that, you know, we're planning ahead so often that it's like sometimes hard to be in the present moment too, you know? Yeah. We've got, you know, the programming happening now, we've got programming happening next month, and looking on into the future. But like, when you do think about the future of Sissonville Library, like, what are some things that you see or can sense about it?
I like to think that we'll still be providing materials.
Yeah.
Because people still come in and say, "Where are the books on such and such?"
Right.
But we're also providing different things. We're providing a community space.
Yeah.
And I hope that we'll continue to grow in the sense of technology, because as a rural area,
right,
not everybody has access to a printer. Not everybody has seen a 3D printer.
Right.
And that's things that we can offer to the community that they might not get anywhere else,
Right.
just like the programs like the petting zoo
Yeah.
or the Dino Ed that came a few years ago. I mean, where else will you see a guy walking around in dino suits?
Yeah.
So I guess I hope for the same things that we offer now,
Right.
but
Just-
also expanding,
Yeah.
just providing more, providing better.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. And I hope that the community will see that and will continue to come.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much, Kathy, for talking to me today. It's been really lovely to just witness your care for your staff and your community. So,
Well, thank you.
yeah. All right. So, all right. We're going to take a break and see you right after this.
Can you consent with me? Imagine what you'd see if every child had a book to read.
So the mission is for us to get a book to each and every child.
So let's join hands, book people unite. Unearth hidden passion. Come on, we'll have a good time. One book can be the first thing that helps to change a life. Book people unite.
Read to a child today and spark a lifetime of ambition.
Before we close, I'd like to take a little time to give a special shout out to the entire Kanawha County Public Library system. Readers of the Charleston Gazette-Mail recently voted KCPL as Best in the Valley as the area's preeminent family fun place. Each year, the newspaper asks its readers to name various institutions as Best in the Valley, and this year, KCPL was so honored. KCPL takes great pride in being a place for the entire family to visit, to read, to learn, and to have fun. And it was a great honor for the residents of the Kanawha Valley to recognize that. Thanks to everyone who voted. I'd like to thank Sissonville Branch Manager Kathy Mason for sitting down with correspondent Jai Ravine and sharing with us her vision of the Sissonville branch and what we can expect to see when we next pay a visit. I'm Stan Howe. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on More Than Books, Stories from the Kanawha County Public Library.